This is part 3 in our Introduction to Dynamics series. In this one, we're going to explore menu navigation and how to find different functions in the application. By the time we're done, you'll be flying around Dynamics like a pro, so let's get started. In the first video in this series, we learned about the home page, but we glossed over any detail. Now it's time to get into the search facility and the menu options, so you can navigate confidently around the application and find all the functions you need. Let's start with the menu bar, as that is probably where your intuition takes you, particularly if you are moving from a previous version of Dynamics. Let's pin the menu bar for a moment. Perhaps the first place to look is in the recent list. It's a bit like a top 10. The most recent will be at the top. As you add new history to the top, the oldest one at the bottom will drop off the list. The next option on the menu bar lists the workspaces. We covered this option and the workspace tiles in part 2. So let's skip down to the modules. In previous versions of Dynamics, this was often the main navigation option. A similar structure is maintained here. The modules that you see will be security dependent. As we step down through each, you will see the pop-out menu to the right. Let's look at budgeting. Firstly, at the top are listed the workspaces that overlap with these module features. Here, 2 workspaces are shown. You may now be getting the hint that workspaces are the key tool that Dynamics really wants you to use. Below the workspaces are some frequently accessed features. Below this are the sections called Inquiries and Reports, Periodic and Setup. These folders are quite common in all modules. If we look to the Expense Management module, again there is a workspace recommendation at the top. And we can see the Inquiries, Reports, Periodic and Setup folders. This module has broader functionality than budgeting, so there are additional folders to separate each group of features. Finally, let's look at one of the richest menus in the General Ledger. You can see there are 3 setup folders this time, plus lots of other folders. The Inquiries and Reports are also there as usual. The General Ledger has 4 workspaces dedicated to it. Once you have selected your menu, it is simply a case of drilling down through the menu structure to find your feature or function. Note at the top, there is an Expand All and Collapse All shortcut. Let's go back to budgeting and expand the menu in full. That's a pretty big list of options. Now compare that with the General Ledger. It's even bigger. In fact, I have to scroll to the right to see all the options. If you can find the right module, navigate the structure, and select your feature, then great. But let's fast forward to a couple of shortcuts. First, start adding your frequently used features to your favorites. To do this, hover over a menu path and click the star. You will now see this listed under Favorites. Alternatively, you can use the search bar. The search bar will find matching menu item entries for you. Let's try a couple of examples. I want to create a general journal. If I start typing the word general, Dynamics 365 will find all the menu items related. It also, in the smaller print, tells me the main module navigation path. I can see General Journals at number 6. The more I type, the better the search. General Journals is now at the top of the list. Note the search result will pick up related options such as General Ledger and General Budget. Let's try Customer as another example. Finally, let's look for a report on aging. 4th one down is what I want. So in summary, you can use the main module menu to find your features, but I would encourage you to start building your favorite list, use workspaces, or use the search facility as a more efficient means of navigation. That's all for menus and navigation. In the next video in this series, we're going to get into the different kinds of form that you interact with in Dynamics. You can dive straight in via the link here.